Ukrainian troops are worried the fate of Kursk operation. As Kiev continues to lose ground, the troops have been asked to continue fighting until Trump assumes office. Our next report tells you why Ukrainian troops are retreating from the front lines.
4 months after Ukrainian troops launched their lightning offensive into the Russian region of Kursk, soldiers in the front lines paint a dismal picture of the battle they fear they might be losing soon. With the winter setting in, the cold weather conditions and the Russian onslaught is putting the Ukrainian troops on the back foot. Chronic sleeplessness caused by Russia's constant bombardment and the use of 3,000-kilogram Clyde bombs are robbing the fatigued soldiers of the will to put up a tough fight. Reports cite a lack of equipment and a confusing mix of instructions from the commanding officers have further demoralized the troops. With the Russian forces gradually retaking territory, many soldiers are in retreat. The shifting goals of the Ukrainian government are only adding to further chaos. And now the Ukrainian soldiers are being asked to hang on to this small sliver of Russian territory till Trump takes office in January and begins negotiations. For Ukraine, Russia's slow grinding advance in eastern Ukraine underlines the necessity of clinging on in Kursk. President Zelensky has hinted at ending the war through diplomacy by next year, but Moscow calls it an eyewash. It accuses the West of trying to give Ukraine a respite by pushing ceasefire talks. Russia feels the peace plan will give the West an opportunity to once again pump Ukraine up with advanced weapons.
We are ready for honest negotiations, as President Putin said. However, he advised Zelensky's masters to first force him to cancel the decree that bans negotiations with Putin's government. But we are ready for negotiations if they will be conducted on the basis of a comprehensive consideration of the legitimate interests of each party.
The Biden administration has announced a new aid package for Ukraine in a last-minute effort to boost Kyiv before Trump takes over. Putin, on the other hand, has approved record defense spending in the military budget. With Zelensky wanting to end the war early without getting back all of Ukrainian territory from Russia, one can barely say where this war is headed. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
So what's really happening in Ukraine? Retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis is a military expert and host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube. He's now joining us live from Starling, Virginia. Colonel Davis, good to see you and welcome to the show. This call to Ukrainian troops to sit like ducks in Kursk region and wait for Trump to assume office, who Ukraine sees as their savior and negotiator, is it a good call?
No, it's not. And you know, as someone who has 4 combat deployments of my own, I can't even imagine the angst and the anxiety that this would cause among the troops when they know on the ground, and your correspondent there alluded to some of this, and other reports are quantifying this even more in Politico out today, that they know that there is no winning in this. They've known for a long time. Actually, they had a big burst in the 1st of August. And then by the 10th day, the Russians had it basically contained. And since that time, it's just been like an anaconda slowly strangling it down. So they know that they're sending in reinforcements only to slow down the loss. There's no possibility of a victory. And when you keep telling people to risk their lives for something they know cannot end positively, then the question needs to be asked, then why sacrifice it all? Why not conduct a methodical military fighting withdrawal back to the Ukrainian lines so they can get back in order and then preserve their border and preserve their people? There is an alternative. They're just not pursuing it. This one, honestly, makes no sense militarily.
Colonel Davis, with that being said, Ukraine is really betting big on Trump. The Kremlin, on the other hand, well, it's really not betting big on Trump. Your advice to President Volodymyr Zelensky and his troops?
Yeah, you don't wait for Trump. You don't need to wait for Trump. The war has been decided long, long ago. There is no path to a military victory. There's no longer a path even to hold on for the Ukraine side. So the thing that makes the most sense to limit the damage is to seek negotiated settlement now, while they still can. Because just imagine how foolish it would be to wait, until January 20th to start negotiations that are coming, and then die in larger numbers in between now and then, pursuing something that can't be attained. It just doesn't make any moral sense, and it definitely doesn't make any military sense, but it looks like that's exactly what they're going to do, and it looks like the U.S. is going to support it.
Well, Colonel Davis, the winter is here. It has already started. It's a bitter cold winter. Well, let's be fair for both sides. The troops are tired. They're exhausted. Going forward, there is a call to end this war. Apart from that call, what needs to happen now?
Well, I mean, apart from that call, the only thing that's going to happen is they're just going to continue to fight a futile battle. They're going to continue to die. And the Russians will continue to advance. They'll squeeze down the Kursk salient until eventually they'll completely close it off and either kill or capture all the rest of the troops, and they'll keep advancing in the west. So every day in between now and January 20th, it's not like Trump's going to come in and have this magic negotiating capacity. Their leverage will be worse on January 20th than it is right now. Every day they delay in doing the inevitable makes their negotiating position worse. That's one thing I just don't hear enough people talk about. This needs to be done now for their own sake on the Ukraine side.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Retired Colonel Daniel L. Davis, thank you very much for your time and for talking to us today.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.